Right, listen up, petrolheads. We're going back in time before the roar of the engine to the dawn of personal transportation. I'm talking about the bicycle, a contraption so revolutionary it makes a Prius look positively prehistoric. Our story begins in 1817 with a German baron named Karl von Drais. Now this wasn't some greasy mechanic, mind you. This chap wore a powdered wig and probably had never changed a tire in his life. But von Drais had a brainwave. He invented a wooden contraption with two wheels, no pedals mind you, called the Laufmaschine, which translates to running machine. Imagine straddling a giant wooden scooter and propelling yourself forward with your feet, like Fred Flintstone on a bender. That's the Laufmaschine in a nutshell. It was the first real step towards the bicycle as we know it, and it took the world by storm. Well, maybe not a storm, more like a gentle breeze, but people were intrigued. Here was a newfangled way to get around, faster than walking and cheaper than feeding a horse. Plus you didn't have to shovel manure afterward, which is a big plus in my book. Of course, the Laufmaschine had its drawbacks. It was slow, bumpy, and about as comfortable as a saddle made of granite. But hey, you can't have it all, can you? The important thing is von Drais planted a seed, an idea that would blossom into one of the most popular and enduring inventions of all time, the bicycle. So, next time you're cruising down the road on your fancy carbon fiber two-wheeler, spare a thought for old von Drais and his wacky wooden contraption. He might not have given us the internal combustion engine, but he certainly got the wheels turning. Fast forward a few decades and the bicycle is evolving faster than a Ferrari on a test track. But let's be honest, some of these early iterations were about as graceful as a hippo in a tutu. First up, we have the Bone Shaker, a name that pretty much says it all. This contraption sported pedals, which was a step up from the whole foot-powered thing, but it also came with iron-rimmed wheels and a frame that rattled your teeth loose. Riding a Bone Shaker was less about transportation and more about testing your pain threshold, but hold on to your monocles because things are about to get even more ridiculous. Enter the penny farthing, a bicycle so ludicrously designed, it could only have been dreamt up by someone who'd had one too many pints. Picture this, a massive front wheel towering over a tiny rear wheel, like a giraffe riding a unicycle. The idea was that a bigger wheel meant more distance covered per rotation, which makes sense. But the reality was, well, terrifying. Imagine trying to mount that thing without launching yourself head first into the nearest lamppost. The penny farthing was a recipe for disaster. One wrong move and you were catapulted over the handlebars, landing headfirst in a pile of horse manure. And let's not even talk about potholes. Still, you've got to admire the Victorians for their sheer audacity. They might have been a bit stuffy in the trouser department, but when it came to bicycles, they weren't afraid to push the boundaries of absurdity. By the late 19th century, even the most daring cyclists were starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, riding a bicycle shouldn't be a death-defying feat. Finally, some bright spark, and I'm surprised it wasn't me, came up with the idea of a safety bicycle. This revolutionary design featured two wheels of equal size, a chain drive, and a lower center of gravity. It was like trading in your rickety old biplane for a Boeing 747. The safety bicycle was a game changer. Suddenly cycling was accessible to everyone, not just daredevils with a death wish. Women who had previously been relegated to riding side saddle on those ridiculous penny farthings could now enjoy the freedom and mobility of the bicycle. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief as the era of bone-jarring rides and spectacular crashes came to an end. With the safety bicycle, the stage was set for the bicycle to become a global phenomenon. It was the dawn of a new era, one where people could travel further, faster, and without risking life and limb. And let's be honest, anything that makes it easier to get from A to B without having to rely on a horse-drawn carriage is all right by me. Now, while the safety bicycle was a stroke of genius, it wasn't exactly a smooth ride. Early models were still made of heavy, clunky materials like wood and steel. But as the 20th century rolled around, bicycle technology shifted gears, embracing lighter and stronger materials. We're talking aluminum alloys, titanium, and the holy grail of bicycle frames, carbon fiber. Imagine a material so light it practically floats on air, yet strong enough to withstand the rigors of the Tour de France. That's carbon fiber, my friends, and it's revolutionized the way bicycles are designed and built. These days you can find bikes so feather light, you could practically pick them up with one hand. It's enough to make you want to ditch the car keys and pedal everywhere. Of course, all this cutting-edge technology comes at a price. Some of these high-end racing bikes cost more than a small family car. But hey, who needs a roof and four wheels when you can have two wheels of pure, unadulterated speed? Just try not to crash it, alright?